Welcome to section 1-4, beginning proofs. Now, here's a little quote from Winnie the Pooh. Always remember that you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Now, keep this quote in mind as we begin proof and as the proofs begin to get more difficult. Our objective for this section is to write a simple 2-column proof. For homework, we're going to be working on page 26 to 27, 1 to 15 odds. So here we go, let's begin. First and foremost, we'll be studying 2-column proofs. 2-column proofs are used in most geometry books as the preferred method of doing a proof. What proof is it's formalizing our ideas in a manner that can show each step, stemming from assumptions or from steps prior. Proof, just so you know, is going to be used for most of semester 1 and for some sections in semester 2. So this isn't going to be a one-time deal or just in one chapter. We're going to continue proof throughout semester 1. Now, we have our first definition. It's of a theorem. A theorem is a mathematical statement that can be proved. Its abbreviation is THM. Now, what we do is we present theorems, we prove theorems, and we use theorems to prove problems. Okay, so we're going to get ready to prove our first theorem. 2-column proofs are, you guessed it, it has 2 columns, a statement column and a reason column. You must have a justification for everything in the statement column. Its justification goes in the reason column. So when we're going ahead and doing this, you can't put something down because it would be helpful. You actually have to have a reason, a legitimate reason for writing something down in the statement column. Okay, so here we go. Now, when we're going through proofs, you'll see that there's a given and a proof. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this down. Given angle A is a right angle, and given angle B is a right angle, we're going to prove angle A is congruent to angle B. And we're going to make what we sometimes call a T-chart, with a statement and a reason side. Now here we go. First thing we want to do is we want to start off by listing all the givens that we have. Now, the reason why we can state that is because they're given. That's our justification. Anything that's given to us can be taken as being fact. Okay, here we go. Next thing that we have is the measure of angle A is 90 degrees. We can say that. Why? Because if an angle is a right angle, then it measures 90 degrees. That's our justification. Next, we can say the measure of angle B is also 90 degrees. The reason? Same as number 3. Anytime you have a reason that's already been stated in a prior step, you can count down to what step that is and use that as your reason. Next, we can say that angle A is congruent to angle B. Our justification is if 2 angles have the same measure, then they are congruent. Every statement that we had a reason for it, and it wasn't because it's 90, because that's what it means. We have to address things formally, as if we were talking to the President of the United States. We wouldn't say, hey, yo, what's up? We would want to be very formal in the words that we chose. And that actually defined our first theorem. We were able to prove it. Here's our first theorem. Let's go ahead and let's write that down. We're going to call this Theorem 1. Theorem 1 is a shorthand. It says if 2 angles are right angles, then they are congruent. Now, here's what this actually allows us to do. It allows us to go back to our proof. It allows us to take out this step and these reasons. And instead, it allows us to jump from 2 right angles into saying they're congruent using this theorem as our justification. Theorems can be shortcuts for us. You try the next proof and write down the theorem that we prove. In this case, we're given that angle ABC is a straight angle, angle DEF is a straight angle, and we're trying to prove that angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF. Press pause and let's see what you can do. So here we go. We're going to make two columns. We have a statement column, and we have a reason column. It always starts off with our givens. That angle ABC is a straight angle. The reason, it was given to us, and things that are given can be taken for as fact. Angle DEF is a straight angle, also given. Next, we can say angle ABC equals 180 degrees. The reason is if an angle is a straight angle, then it measures 180 degrees. Next, we can say that angle DEF equals 180 degrees. The reason? Same as number 3. And last but not least, angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF. The reason is if two angles have the same measure, then they are congruent. And we're set. So our theorem is, if two angles are straight angles, then they are congruent. And we're good. So let's go ahead and let's do two proofs together. Now, if you think you got the hang of this, why don't you go ahead and press pause and jump ahead. Check your answers at the end though. So here we go. We're going to start off with our two columns. The statement and the reason. We start off with our givens. Diagram is shown. The reason? Given. Now, anytime we're given diagram is shown as a given, all we have to go off of our assumptions. So what can we assume about this picture that's going to help me in proving that angle ABC is congruent to angle DBF? Well, just looking at those angles, I see they're straight angles. Do I jump to my proof? No. They have to be stated as being straight angles before we can prove their congruency using our last theorem. So here we go. Angle ABC is a straight angle. The reason? It's assumed from the diagram. Angle DBF is a straight angle, also assumed. And last but not least, we can use that theorem to jump into our proof. Angle ABC is congruent to angle DBF. The reason? If two angles are straight angles, then they are congruent. Hopefully we got that. If not, make sure you make a note of that and have me explain it better tomorrow. So here's our next one. Angle KOP equals 30 degrees. Angle POE equals 60 degrees. Angle M is a right angle. We want to prove that angle KOE is congruent to angle M. Now, what we'll notice here is that, hey, this adds up to 90. So they both have the same measure, so they're congruent. Again, we can't jump the gun. Everything needs to be stated. So here we go. We have our statement and our reason. So here we go. Angle KOP equals 30 degrees. Given. Angle POE equals 60 degrees. Given. Angle M is a right angle. Given. Now, let's draw some stuff into our pictures. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, a right angle. There are two ways to go about this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add up these two angles to sum 90 degrees. I'm going to say that angle KOE equals 90 degrees. How did we get that? By addition. We added our two angles. Now, we can say, so this is 90 and that's 90, but whoa, whoa, whoa. Angle M is not stated as being 90. It's being stated as being right. Doesn't that mean the same thing? It does, but in order to use our theorems, we have to be explicit. Now, I can either say angle KOE is a right angle, and say if two angles are right angles, they're congruent. Or I can say angle M equals 90 degrees. If an angle is right, it equals 90 degrees. And then say they're congruent because they have the same measure. Either way is fine. I'm going to say angle KOE is a right angle. The reason is if an angle measures 90 degrees, then it is a right angle. Okay? Put my little marking in showing a right angle. Next, I'm going to say angle KOE is congruent to angle M. And my reason is if two angles are right angles, they are congruent. And we're set. Again, it's important to be explicit. And if our reason has one or more pieces that isn't 100% correct, for instance, one 90-degree angle and one right angle, then we can't use it as a justification. Every little step that we take is going to be important. So what we got to do is kind of slow our brains down and really think through this process. So here's our answers to tonight's homework. Again, we're going to work on 1 through 15, the odds. Now notice in some of these answers here, I tell you the number of steps that I have. So I'm not going to do the proof for you, but I'm going to give you hints as to how you're going to do those proofs. If you have any questions, please make sure you're asking me, and as always, have a good one.